So, former Vice President Joe Biden has long maintained that his son Hunter's business dealings in Ukraine had no impact on his policies, like threatening to hold back $1 billion in loan guarantees for Ukraine during the Obama administration in exchange for the removal of a prosecutor named Viktor Shokin. When Biden was still vice president, he told The Atlantic in August 2016 about this episode, quote, Ukrainian President Poroshenko, I pushed him on getting rid of a corrupt prosecutor general. We had committed $1 billion. I said, Petro, you're not getting your $1 billion. That story is complicated by the fact that Biden's son Hunter and his business partners at an energy firm called Burisma were reportedly part of a broad effort by Burisma to bring in well-connected Democrats during a period when the company was facing investigations backed not just by domestic Ukrainian forces, but by officials in the Obama administration. Now, that's all according to the New York Times. Let's talk about it with Democratic strategist Kevin Walling and former advisor to President George W. Bush, Brad Blakeman. Gentlemen, welcome to you both on this Friday night.
Hey, Shannon, good evening.
Okay, so let's start with this. The former Vice President Biden has also issued a statement tonight, in part saying this, talking about the president. This behavior is particularly abhorrent. Donald Trump should immediately release the transcript of the call in question. Brad, tonight, a senior administration official is telling us he might just do that because the media is actually overplaying what this was.
I think if the administration official who has read these documents feels that it's in the president's interest to release them, then they should. I have a problem with that, even if it's exculpatory for the president, because you have an unnamed, faceless bureaucrat who has basically subjected his interpretation of a presidential communication with a foreign government, subjecting his own personal bent on it to a constitutional figure, the President of the United States. This is unheard of. And I don't want to set a precedent for it.
Isn't that what whistleblowers are supposed to do if they have a concern? There was a framework in place. They went to the Inspector General within the intel community. And
yeah, but how did it get out in the public? That's the problem here. How did this complaint get out into the public? It hurt our foreign policy. It hurt the president's ability to conduct it. And by the way, this is the chicken and the egg. Which came first? Joe Biden, by his own admission, bribing the Ukrainians that they're not going to get the money that is due them unless and until a prosecutor who was investigating his son was fired. And guess what? He was fired. And the Ukrainians got the money. So I would caution Democrats, be careful what you wish for. You want to start another witch hunt? The president's going to be victorious again.
Well, Kevin, regardless of where this goes with the Biden slice of the story, he's going to have to now still answer these questions about that because it does dredge this up from the past. But the Wall Street Journal reporting on this today says, according to their sources, Mr. Trump did not mention a provision of U.S. aid to Ukraine on the call, said the person who didn't believe that Mr. Trump offered the Ukrainian president any quid pro quo for his cooperation on any investigation. If that plays out to be true, then this is much ado about nothing, sounds like.
I think there were some concerns raised by this whistleblower, as Brad rightly points out. We don't know anything about this whistleblower. We don't know that there are any political motivations, as the president said in the press conference today. What we do know is that there was some promise made in this call that raised an alarm with an intelligence official, so much so that it directed them to go through their channels to raise this concern to the independent investigators at the DNI's office. So this process is playing out the way it should in that agency, and we need to get to the bottom of this.
Well, there are all kinds of calls for this thing to go public, both the complaint and now the transcript of the call. We'll see maybe both, or at least in part, because I'm sure there are some national security interests that we're not going to get everything. Everything we get in Washington has lots of black lines through it and is redacted. Sean Davis tweeting this today. The latest media-manufactured faux scandal is that Trump needs to be impeached because he told a foreign leader to rein in corruption. Oh, and Joe Biden, who, quote, bragged on camera about bribing Ukraine to fire a prosecutor investigating his son's company, he's the guy who should be president. Quick final word from you both.
Look, I think the Democrats are going down another slippery slope. You have somebody like Adam Schiff, who is totally unbelievable. He's the one who said that they had evidence that the president colluded with the Russians. He had no evidence. And the president was fully cleared of any collusion charges. So, Democrats want to harp immediately on a New York Times story after the New York Times was debunked just a week ago that had no factual basis to a story. No. I think Democrats should proceed with caution.
Well, Kevin, do you think a lot of folks out there are going to start to feel like the boy who cried wolf? Like, we don't know which of these stories is ever going to be true or pan out or be the, quote, bombshell that it's first presented to be?
Sure. I've never called for this president to be impeached. I think I'm a pretty reasonable Democrat. I think we need to show where the evidence leads. Let's get everything out in the open. But let's also make sure that a president of the United States, Democrat or Republican, isn't requesting the assistance of a foreign government to attack a political opponent.
Whether it's Biden or Trump making the request,
Amen.
right? Okay, we all agree on that. All right, gentlemen, thank you both. Good to see you. Have a great weekend.
Good to see you, Shannon.